Hello. This is Serge from VisualCron, and in this video I am going to cover the remaining feature of the load balancer. Load balancer flows with conditions and actions. First of all, flows are the most independent part of the load balancer. They can be used even if the broker server is not activated at all. Flows can be configured for a specific server both in the general load balancer settings form, on the Flows tab, and in a separate form that opens by clicking the Flows menu button. Moreover, in this separate form, on the Status tab, you can observe the current status of flows and conditions. But let's talk about this a little later, and return to the settings. Here you can create multiple flows. They are all processed independently. Each flow, in addition to the name and several options, contains two key components: conditions and actions. A set of conditions must match in order to execute a set of actions. In total, there are several dozen different types of conditions. You can get acquainted with them and select the appropriate type in the documentation by clicking on the Help button on the form. Conditions are combined into groups, and into nested groups. Within a group, simple conditions are combined with an AND operator. There can be AND OR operators between groups. Double-clicking opens the condition editing form. Here, depending on the type of condition, certain parameters can be configured. For example, for the OS CPU, we can choose a server, the current one, local server, or a remote server connected to the broker. We then choose an operator and a value to compare against. We can also specify a duration, that is, how long the CPU value must remain at a high level in order to confirm a matching condition. It also makes sense to calculate the average value for the specified time period. We can also force a given condition to act as an event. That is, in order to confirm a matching state again, a non-matching state must first be detected. But even if we do not enable the Act as Event option, and the CPU OS reaches a high value and stays high for a long time, this does not mean that the actions in the flow will be performed over and over again, indefinitely. Instead, the actions will be executed once, putting the flow in the triggered state. And then the flow will simply wait for the non-matching condition to reset its triggered state, or wait for the next event from some event condition. As in the example, the event of disconnection of any network. So, when the flow is triggered, the actions configured on this tab begin to be executed one after the other, or in parallel. These actions include starting or stopping a local server, or a specific server connected to the broker. Actions to run a notification, or to execute a job. In this case, as you remember, despite the fact that the job will be started on the local server, this job may contain distributed execution settings to transfer the execution to the broker side. And finally, there is an interesting type of action: adjust settings. You can change some server operation mode settings at runtime, without changing the permanent settings. For example, you can enable extended debug logging if the server for some reason can no longer handle the required load. Moreover, for such an action, the reverse option can be enabled, so that as soon as the condition does not match, the server operation mode returns to the original one. And as you have seen, on the Status tab it is possible to monitor in real time how the conditions in the flows are checked, with what values they match or do not match, at what moment the flow is triggered to execute actions. These trigger events can be seen in the event log. But in order for them to start getting into the event log, you need to go to the client settings once. And then on the Client Events tab, check the load balancer events. Well, this concludes the description of the main features of the load balancer. Bye for now, and see you later.